Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Wells of Wall Street. We've got XLM Stellar on our radar in this video today. We are going to do a quick overview of a couple of items around XLM before we go into the chart. But do make sure that if you haven't done so already, go and check out our other videos on our channel. We cover a multitude of sectors and projects from finance to energy, AI, IoT, gaming especially. But go check all of those out. And real estate, can you believe it? Healthcare. Where else can you get all of this fantastic information? So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We smashed through 5,000 only yesterday or the day before, and we're already flying towards 5,200. So thank you so much for the support. But let's jump into Stellar. This was a couple of weeks ago, this article, but I want to make an initial point here before we go into the chart because it kind of relates to this. A lot of people out there saying things like XLM's not really moved since 2017, and there's an argument to suggest that is correct at its current price point. Of course, we did have higher regions around that sort of 79 or 80 cent mark earlier in last year. I keep saying earlier in the year, we're now in the next year. So last year, 2021. So when we look at that, I just wanted to sort of pinpoint right now what Stellar is about. Okay, it's similar to like the likes of Ripple, for example, and of course the founder Jed, absolute kind of name dropping there, but he was one of the key founders of Ripple, of course. And he was moved out of Ripple. There's a big hoo-ha about how much XRP he was holding. And up until last year, I think he was still selling it off and had to by a certain time by the SEC's rules, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, he obviously then founded Stellar. And since then, Stellar has been growing and growing in terms of its project and its ecosystem. Sometimes you don't really think about that in the background, but you've got to anticipate where these kind of projects are. Now, yes, there are many, many other projects that have absolutely flown, and people are like, hang on a minute, why am I holding so much XLP and Stellar? Well, diversify your portfolio for a start and get loads of different sectors. And secondly, if you are trading and following money, then fair enough. But in my principal mindset, the likes of Ripple, Stellar, XDC, Quant, certainly things that I like to add to my portfolio for the long run. Why? Because in the central bank digital currency systems that we have, or haven't even got yet, actually, imagine when this will get switched on. And it's not going to be like the fascination of trying to obtain CBDC coins because they'll be stable, right? People will be interested in the technology behind them. And institutional money, no doubt, obviously, is already in some of these fantastic projects like Ripple and Stellar. But imagine how much more there will be when it really, truly gets switched on. Middle levels, lower levels, whatever you want to call it. The fluctuation of the price will be significant when it all does. And of course, Stellar's working, for example, here, Ukrainian bank. So utilizing in the past, or certainly recently, a pilot schedule aspect of digital currency. So replacing the existing traditional money that we have, for example, here in the UK, the pound, with a digital version. And we talk about the UK Digital Pound Foundation quite recently with the likes of Quant, AVAX, Avalanche, Ripple being involved. And we talk about the ISO aspect, ISO 20020, I think it is, about the standardization of finance. But these aspects are essentially like replacing the existing SWIFT systems and the payment messaging systems behind them. New complete digital ledger. And I think XLM has a gigantic part to play in this. We already know that it sort of powers the likes of USDC, for example, and a multitude of other banking projects going on worldwide. Same for some of the other projects we mentioned just a minute ago. And I think that's where we are with these kind of things, because the likes of like Polygon and Solana and all these other great projects, of course they're going to be flying because they have a multitude of ecosystems on there that are accommodating the likes of gaming, the likes of scalability and things like that. But there are quite a few handful of projects that are ISO compliant, which is extremely important moving forward, especially in the financial banking world. But they're also not live yet. So if you think about all like Matic and Polygon, I'm not saying Stellar, by the way, and Ripple aren't live as such. I'm talking about the actual usability of them. Sure, they've got some projects working on, but I'm talking about the real top level around the world in finance. That when that gets switched on, we're talking a multitude of trillions upon trillions upon trillions of world's dollars, pounds, yuans, whatever you want to call them. This cross-border payment system, the interoperability, the bridging, the removal almost of things like exchange rates. Can you imagine how fast the economy will be utilizing blockchain technology, tokenomics? And it's not just finance, it's obviously energy as well. The whole interlacing aspect of blockchain technology is going to be absolutely amazing. But I'm really excited to see the development further of XLM, especially around CBDCs. Like I said, when this all gets switched on, you will definitely know about it. And what a great opportunity to be involved and purchasing and holding assets of something so early. Yes, it's been around for years, so has Ripple. But at some point, it will indeed all get turned on. And that's where these prices we're looking at now will be almost non-existent. And we'll be laughing back at ourselves and other people who said it was silly to hold this kind of token in the future. We're looking at a price point, guys, in the chart, as you see on the screen right now, floating still around this 28 point-ish cents mark. It's repeating really positions that we've seen around here back in July, where we saw the full correction down from the top points here, where we did see the 79 or just under 80 cent mark back here in May. Full correction taken over in a sort of 2 or 2.5 months position, but then we had a nice rally up, and we've been kind of floating around trying to really find that existing XLM price point, and I feel like we're there. I mean, if you were to draw a line straight through this, of course, we've got our fib retracements here, kind of like a guideline, if you like. And in fact, you could just use that as one right now. All the touch points here back in the mid of December, back here in September, and the nice fluctuation around this area as well between June and July. And then these touch points here, we had the great price discovery mode, all the nice announcements coming out, and the general bull momentum as well coming in, taking us to new levels where we were trying to find new support mechanisms, kept failing over a long period of time. But now I feel like we're sitting at an extremely pretty price point. Of course, it would have been great. Like we were personally, we were obtaining XLM around this sort of 24-25 cent mark. It's not too much further now than it was back then, but we've got to take some positivity out of this in the sense of this nice tail up. We've had a correction. It's not massive price point wise we're talking about here, but the correction has occurred, and it's very much so far rejected the previous area of around 25-26 cents. So we're now moving towards this very healthy 29 cent mark, and if we can get closes around this area over the next couple of days, I think we could formulate a very nice patterned, almost like, I hate the word cup and handle move. I hate it. If we can get that kind of momentum, which we might do over the next few days, I think we can start getting some stability and proving ourselves at this area that we've already been rejected a number of times. We're talking here about this 30 cent mark. It sounds very rounded, very cliche, but it is, at the end of the day, a very interesting point, because we're floating right under that. Today we had a high of 29.76. 30 cents is the marker we need to break. And once we've done that, once we get a few days of stability over that 30 cent mark, that's when I think we can take ourselves further up. There's a couple of other positive attributes here to pull out. On the weekly, we've reduced that now down to about 3% negative on the week. So once we can switch that over, the month is already now starting to look healthy. The 3 months will drag back down as well. These are really interesting performance indicators, guys, because it's showing we're almost finally coming out of that negative run that's arguably been going on for a few months now. We've hit these really low points, especially here on the MACDs. We've had the switch over, albeit as, in my opinion, maybe a bit too parabolic, albeit we're talking about like 4 or 5 cents. But for me, I think we need a bit of narrowing going on here to get a bit of stability over the next few days. That is concluded as well on our 14 and our 28 days, which have moved nicely from the previous days early in December, sort of just under that 40 mark. But right now, sweet spots right in the middle. It's like saying to us here, we need to try and stabilize around this area. This is critical because in that limbo moment, of course, cliche, up or down, very much in that middle ground. we need that stability around this 29, 28, 30 cent mark. Drag it over 30 and pull it up. There is plenty of room in the tank here for us to go on a very nice upcoming run, almost possibly even repeating things that we saw here in July. This could be the significant turning point that we see us take us off to the previous all-time high, maybe also enticing a potential upcoming bull run in the few months as well, because we're not coming from these lower points anymore that we saw in November 2020 and pulling ourselves up gradually. We're already up these levels now. If we can start tailing that similar pattern, not saying it's going to be exactly the same, but if we can pull that up, that's where we're talking about significant numbers here. And when you start breaking the dollar, that's how it the fast approach upwards occurs. You hit the higher Fib retracement levels in a more significant fashion, because people start getting more interested in the psychological numbers, and the money starts flowing in. And then of course what usually sometimes happens is the timing of all this sometimes comes around things like the government's announced things about CBDCs or financial changes with blockchain news and this, that and the other. Don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure the media has a game to play in this, almost, if you want to call it manipulation, if you like, because they've probably got a load of people in the background investing in this, right? So you've got to anticipate these kind of things outside externally, as well as what you see on the charts and the movement. So that's my thoughts and feelings on XLM, looking at the RSIs and everything. But that's for me in the next few days, looking at stability around this particular area of 30 cents. I'm just going to readjust this because I think it's slightly out. I want to put it right there because that then puts us in line pretty much with the touch points there as well. So yeah, it's very much around this 29 mark, guys. Come on XLM. With this buying momentum, we could do this. We could see a complete confirmation of a pull round after such an unhealthy, well, not unhealthy, but a correctional period between November and the middle of December to really take this up. And this could be a really fun January into February for XLM. And of course, we then approach the end of year financials as well across a multitude of companies, particularly here in the UK. It all comes together. I think we might have a good strong few months coming up for not just XLM, but for a number of assets, projects in the crypto sphere. Let us know what you think about that in the comments below. Are you holding any XLM in your portfolio? For me personally, I am accumulating left, right and center with this one, and I'll continue to do so. I will continue to obliterate my ledger with XLM Stellar as long as it's staying under $1, because I believe in the future this is going to be mega. What do you think about that? Guys, we're going to wrap that up there. Looking forward to seeing some of your comments on this. We will see you in the next XLM video. We will do this more often, hopefully at least once a week. I've just been writing down all the different projects that I haven't done for a while, or trying to get more of a schedule done around the other work that I do in my normal day-to-day, ironically in the blockchain world. So hopefully we will catch up with XLM next week sometime, see how this plays out and see if we were right in our assumptions. But until then, guys, thanks for watching. We will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.